Yo, yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of the Golf Strong Project. My name is Dr. Jackson Taylor. As always, I am joined by our co-host and esteemed Bostonian / Stud McMuffin / golfer of the year, Dr.
Some people are saying.
Yeah. Tim, what's up, bro?
Oh, nothing. Good week. Good week of sunshine up here. Is the sun still out down in Florida?
Always.
Beautiful.
Sun never goes down here.
Well, good. That's good to hear.
That's a whole other thing. Nah, man, it's been good down here. Did you catch our boy Ricky Fowler last couple of days?
No, what's he been saying?
He's just played well. He was let me double check. So he shot 7 under yesterday. And today, let's see. Oh, of course, he's not in the top. That's concerning. Ricky's even through 12. He's still 7 under. He's 2 back of the leader, which is Hogue, Reeve, Vegas. And then you've got a couple in front of him. I don't know if there's any other big names. Louis playing. He's 6 under.
All right. DJ's playing this weekend, I think.
DJ's playing. Wolfie's 4 under.
Yeah. Good for Ricky.
Finau's 4 under. Yeah, so it's a pretty good field.
Yeah.
I don't see Bubba's 3 under. I don't see DJ anywhere. Where is he?
I know he was playing. He said he hasn't played many tournaments this year, so he had to get one in.
Projected cuts 2 under, and he's not at that cut line right now.
Oh, boy.
Sergio's 2 under. DJ's 1 under. So he's even through 13.
All right.
So he's got to get another one. Anybody else on here that looks like they need to get in the mix? I don't know. Nonetheless, Ricky seems to be on the comeback, just like Spiethy and the rest of the crew. So I'm pretty excited about that. I feel like golf needs Ricky to just ball out.
I think so too. People love him. I love him, and you just want him to play.
How can you not?
You just want everyone to play well. That's whenever I play with people. And like last 2 weekends ago, I was playing really well. My buddy was playing terrible, and he was like, "Dude, I'm sorry." I'm like, "Dude, I just want you to play well. I don't really care. I want everyone to play well." Exactly.
Yeah, I don't want you to play like crap.
No.
Now, if I put $500 on this round, maybe I want you to play like crap, and I want to look like Tiger.
Maybe.
But hey, maybe. But I'm not going to tell you that out loud.
Definitely not. Moral of the story: we just want to play good golf.
That's right. Which is a process in and of itself. All right, folks. So we are going to talk a lot today about general, physical guidelines, activity guidelines, the effects of high blood pressure, effects of obesity, etc. Really, the big thing is how to golf longer, get stronger, and be healthier as a whole as golfers. We know that, or at least, and again, this is going to be anecdotal a little bit, but for me, as I look at all of the sports, golf is probably the least good about health stuff. It's real easy to go out and drink on the course. It's real easy to be having a bunch of snacks when you get in, and most people are in carts. So from a physical standpoint, you're really not getting a lot versus people that are picking up, volleyball or stand-up paddleboarding or pick up basketball or tennis, things like that. Specifically, we're talking post-college or high school athletics, where you're just not doing as much. Golf is great in the sense that we're still playing a sport, but from a health perspective, I would argue that we're pretty low on the totem pole in terms of overall health. So we're going to talk today about, the basic guidelines for you to get healthier, hopefully live longer, play better golf, and be stronger, and kind of roll with that. So first things first, we want to talk a little bit about the misconceptions that we see, or the issues that we see with golfers and with people in general. And so I think Tim, let's get started with the physical activity guidelines. What's kind of been laid out by them and what that looks like, and we'll roll from there.
Yeah, so I think this is a good place to start because a lot of you may know some people. I definitely know some people who are not the picture of good health, right? But they're great. They might be scratch golfers.
Oh yeah.
So I think their argument would be, why would I, care about my health if I can get out there, I can do what I need to on the golf course, I can ride around in the cart and play well, win some money.
Yep.
Why would I do this? And I think that goes back to longevity, right? If you're healthier, you live longer, you'll play longer, so you might as well work on your overall health, physical health and wellness in those areas. So if we look at what the American College of Sports Medicine recommends, and these are, I think, the federal guidelines too.
I guess the WHO guidelines, they're all relatively the same.
Yep. So if we're talking people 18 to 65, what they want to see is that you are doing some sort of moderate intensity activity. So when we talk moderate intensity, if we want to get a little bit more specific, we're talking about heart rate. And everyone's probably done this before, where you can kind of get an age-related heart rate maximum, what you think based on your age, how high the highest heart rate you can achieve would be. And we want to be in like the 65 to 75% zone, right? So your heart rate's getting up there, but it's not through the roof. And so you want to be doing that moderate intensity for about 30 minutes, at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week. And they give you a little leeway with that too, right? So say you're not the most active person. They even suggest you want to get at least 10 minutes continuous in. You can break it up into, 3 or 4 segments of 10 minutes, but they want you to hit that minimum of 30 minutes, 5 days a week.
Other way you can look at that too is 150 minutes a week.
Yep.
Maybe that's 2 60-minute workouts. Maybe that's a few 45-minute workouts. But, our general guidelines are 150 minutes at least of moderate intensity aerobic activity.
Yep. And then if we're looking, to go a little more higher intensity, which we can talk about specifically later on with some things like high blood pressure or diabetes, because I know there's some things we just want to be cautious of with that really high intensity activity. But they would recommend, if you're going to go that route, you're doing at least 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week, or a total of 60 minutes of that higher intensity aerobic exercise. And that's where we're getting our heart rate up to like 90% of your max, and you're doing like intervals or Tabata or that sort of thing.
Right. Vigorous intensity aerobic activity, as they would say. That's vigorous. It's great. It's great. I love the vigorous part. And then we can talk about resistance training. So outside of those 2 aerobic ones, they're looking for 2 days a week of whole body resistance training. So all of your large muscle groups, resistance training, and that can be with dumbbells, that can be with bands, that can be with barbells, that can be some kind of body weight workouts for that matter, but typically some kind of external resistance beyond just what your body weight can do. So 150-ish minutes at least per week of moderate activity, or 75 to 150-ish minutes of vigorous activity per week, and then 2 days of whole body training, which doesn't seem like a whole lot. Maybe you as listeners might think that's a lot, but as a whole, that's not a lot. So let's blow your minds a little bit in terms of how many people actually meet that. So in the US currently, 20% of our population meets those guidelines. 20%. This was a few years back, and I'll have to look. I think this might have been from the WHO, but it was talking about how the 4th greatest risk factor of death globally was inactivity.
I mean, that 1 in 5 people are doing the minimum.
The absolute bare minimum, 1 in 5 people. So if we want to equate that to golf, I'd have to argue it's almost less. Now walking the course is obviously you're going to get a lot of that aerobic activity in.
Sure.
So that does help. But when it comes to the other parts of your lifestyle, at least you're doing something when you play golf. But I know plenty of golfers who are out there and they'll get in the cart. They've had 5, 6 to 10 beers, depending on how much they've played 18. If you think about that 3 days a week, it's a lot. It's a rack of brews in a week.
It's a lot. And that's going, so you're going in the opposite direction,
Right. And we know that certainly when it comes to a resistance training perspective, and we're talking about loading joints, we're talking about loading or getting muscle mass, like sarcopenia is a huge issue that we start seeing where there's literally a lack of muscle mass. Bone density type stuff where we're seeing people that aren't loading their joints enough through some kind of resistance training or, walking, things like that. Those are huge risk factors for long-term health issues. And again, like we just said, if 1 in 5 Americans are actually getting what they need exercise-wise, if we just started there, if you as golfers that are listening to this just got that bare ass minimum amount of physical activity, your life would change.
Oh yeah. And think, if for some of our younger listeners, if you haven't reached 30 yet, you still have the potential to hit your max, bone density and muscle, cross-sectional area, muscle strength, that sort of thing. After 30, you can do a lot of this stuff and help slow the process of all those numbers decreasing, right? Because we know as you get older through your 30s, and definitely at a more rapid pace later on, it's just aging. Your bones are going to get a little less dense and weaker. Your muscles are going to start shrinking up. But if you're doing the right stuff now to get as strong and healthy as you can, or if you're, say, 50 and you just want to start doing something good for yourself, you can considerably slow that process and really kind of kick the can further down the alley, so to speak.
Absolutely. Well, and again, you're talking about simple things. If you start exercising in terms of health outcomes, we're talking about improving diabetes. We're talking about decreasing blood pressure. We're talking about changes in body composition, which we're going to talk about in a second. But, diabetes, blood pressure, obesity, a host of stress, anxiety, depression, all of those things, when you look at physical activity's effect on them, which again, it's not a drug. It's not something you have to get from your doctor. It's freely available to you whenever you want it. And yet 1 in 5 people are doing it.
Yeah.
And it can change all of those things, right? But medications are a lot easier than exercising. You pop them, have a glass of water, have some coffee, and you're done for the day, right? Which is I'm sure we'll have a podcast at some point about medication issues, specifically with golfers. Yeah, took 6 Tylenol this morning. I'm hitting the course.
Exactly, feeling great. So yeah, there's the disease benefits. There's also the falling benefit, right? Because for any of our older listeners, the first thing, if you're 60 plus and you go to the doctor, I would think the first question any doctor is going to ask you is, have you fallen in the last 3 months or 6 months?
Right.
And I mean, that's a real risk. A fractured hip in someone that's over the age of 60 can be pretty consequential. Yeah. So we want to make sure muscles are strong, bones are strong, your reflexes are on point, so you can prevent a fall if it does happen.
Yep, my dog's going nuts right now.
Marshall's squeaking.
Yeah, he's squeaking. Murphy, what are you doing? Come here. For anybody who cannot see us, my dog has decided to play because naturally it's playtime, Dad.
Well, it's been 4. Yes. It's been 4 now. He had to introduce himself.
Oh no, he did. He had to come into the picture, my crazy dog. But you're right. I mean, it's funny when you talk about, the falling thing and just getting up out of a chair. These are just basic things that if people can do, especially for, like we were just talking about, our aging golfers, wherever you are on this list of people that we're talking to right now, the stronger you can get, and even just meeting that baseline guideline that we just talked about, a couple of days of resistance training a week and that 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity. If you can just do that, your ability to play golf longer is drastically increased. Drastically.
Oh,
just the bare minimum. The bare minimum is enough to get you a drastic increase in how long you can play golf.
And not to mention how you feel while you are playing your golf, right? I mean, everyone's walked up a steep hill and then had to get over a tee shot or get over a chip shot. And you're trying to catch your breath. I mean, that becomes easier too. I mean, it's everything.
You end up playing better golf, which is, half the battle. All right. So physical activity guidelines we touched on. Something that I think we miss out on a lot it's a taboo conversation almost, is weight. It's body weight. It's body weight and composition, body composition. What percent of you is what versus what? And this is unfortunate, and it's become this thing where we don't like to discuss it. And obesity is a complicated thing. It's not as easy as you just need to eat less, right? There's a lot of nuance to that. And people say that, and I get upset when I see fitness coaches or physical therapists or any of the like who are just like, you just need to eat less and work out more. And yes, there is some truth to that, but there's also the mental sides of that. There's the behavioral side of that. But the truth of the matter is that since 1970 or something, obesity has almost tripled in the US. Tripled. I think they're talking about like by the end of the 2020s, 50% of the US population will be obese. 50% of the US population, right? And we don't have to get into the weeds about what happens when we are heavy, but the health outcomes, just like we talked about the benefits of exercising, the health outcomes of being overweight are, I mean, pretty massive in terms of increased blood pressure, difficulty with respiratory issues, heart conditions, heart disease, diabetes, all of these things. Currently, the number one killer in the US is heart disease. We were just talking about this, like 1,700 people a day on average.
That's wild.
It's like 650K a year or something along those lines. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's around that number, right? From things that are, in essence, avoidable.
It is.
And so just keeping an eye on body comp and weight is a huge component of you playing longer as a golfer, playing better golf, and having less health issues long term.
Yeah, I know you looked up US numbers. I don't mean to put you on the spot. Do you have any numbers in the world? Because I would have a hard time believing that anyone's even close to us as far as that goes.
Let me take a look. Okay, so worldwide obesity has tripled since 1975.
Okay.
So it's not in the US. Worldwide obesity has tripled. But if I had to put a stamp on like what the US looks like versus the rest of the world, it's pretty massive.
I mean, we have access. We're on pace.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We are easily I can't imagine another place that's, well, I mean, think about it. We walk the least of most countries. A lot of people walk to work in different European countries or certainly in different Asian countries. We walk the least, we exercise the least, we eat the most by far. We have food readily accessible to us anytime. Right? It's not like we have to go anywhere to get our food. I mean, shoot, we've got DoorDash that can be like, hey, I'd like, a spicy chicken deluxe from Chick-fil-A and those freaking chilled coffees they have. Oh my God. Primo. I shouldn't talk about this. Just excellent. But anyways, like that stuff's so accessible to us. It's so easy for us to get our hands on food. And we don't do a very good job of saying no to it. But you're right. I mean, the US certainly leads the world in that.
Yeah. I mean, and I think we're going to talk a lot about kind of exercise parameters today, and what you should be doing. But from a nutrition standpoint, I mean, it's just trying to avoid those processed things, right? I mean, they've done. There was an accidental study in Iowa where they had one of these like chimpanzee colonies, right? So they like are training chimps and studying them, and they've got hundreds of apes. I shouldn't say chimps, but like all different kinds of apes, right?
Right.
One group, one of the experimental groups, found a dumpster and just started eating out of the dumpster. So it was like human food.
Right.
And the researchers had never seen heart disease, blood pressure, like high blood pressure in these apes. Right. And that experimental group that got into our food, all those, they started seeing, chimpanzees with diabetes. It's insane. So I think it can be as simple as making your own dinner, being smart about the choices you're making that way. And then if you can do these minimum activity requirements, I mean, that's like a total game changer.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things where my first recommendation to people when they want to change their diets if I was going to give a general guideline to people listening to this is make a food journal. And it doesn't have to be I had a handful of nuts. I had 6 ounces of chicken. I have this. To start, just write down what you ate. Mm-hmm. In the morning, I had oatmeal, a banana, and 3 cups of coffee with creamer. Okay, awesome. For a snack, I had 2 yogurts. And at lunch, I had a salad from Publix. And then I had a couple peanut butter cups between then and when I got home. When I got home, I was a little bit hungry, so I had a handful of chips. And then we had rice, veggie, and some steak for dinner. And then I had a little bit of ice cream before I went to bed. Just keep track of that. But when you look at that across a week and you go, okay, I'm not losing any weight, I'm gaining weight, things like that, we can make some easy changes. Like, hey, right before bed, maybe just cut the ice cream out. Mm-hmm. Or those couple peanut butter cups you had in the middle of the day. Just cut those out. Nothing crazy, because making that behavioral change over time is tough. But people that are listening to this, if you're really looking to make some changes nutritionally, and you're not going to have someone that's actually going to help you. Just keeping a journal. You know how hard it is for me to have people keep a journal? Like, hey, where's your journal? And they're like, I kind of forgot. And like, it's really hard for them to make those changes where they're having to be honest and vulnerable about what they're eating. And getting people not to be so afraid of that is a tough thing to do. But I know that can be of great benefit. I'm not sure what you've done with people.
Yeah, no, that's my first question is how many times a week do you eat out? Because I know people are, if you're, you and your spouse or your partner both work and work late nights or something, it's tough. But if you take a look at how many times you eat out and then just look at what you're eating, I think you'll realize like, oh yeah, I guess I didn't need those 3 Reese's cups when I was in the car. They were just kind of next to me and I did it,
Right.
And that's easy stuff you can clean up.
Yeah. Simple things, even such as don't have it in your house.
Mm-hmm.
If I buy, one of our big things is that we'll make like chocolate chip pancakes once in a while. And at Costco, you can get the bag that's like the size of my face. And we'd come home and you just grab a handful of them because it's easy.
Yep.
And then you pop them, but you've not realized that after 3 of those, you've added some good calories to your day that you didn't really plan on. So
right.
Not having certain things in the house can sometimes like, you know what, we're not going to buy chips during the week. Mm-hmm. Perfect. That's great. Or whatever it ends up being. So, and let's be very clear here. Nutrition is very nuanced. It is not as easy as people make it out to be. Yes, in terms of losing weight, you have to expend more than you are taking in. Right? Your calories have to be lower than what is coming into your system every day. So if I'm burning 2,800 calories a day, I can't be eating 3,000 calories a day.
Right.
No, I can't be eating beyond what I'm expending. So, and there's ways to calculate that we can get into maybe at a later date. But for now, that's where we're going to kind of leave the nutrition conversation. And certainly for those of you who have never looked it up, waist circumference is one of the best predictors of health risk. Mm-hmm. I think for men, it's like something, it's like less than 37 inches of waist. And I don't mean like your pant size. It's like measuring, I think, at the top of your sacrum all the way around.
Yep. I think it ends up being like just below your belly button, like an inch or two below your belly button.
Hip proper. I think it's like less than 37 inches is no increased health risk. But then anything north of that is increased health risk. And then obviously more severe health risk. I think ladies is 30 or 31 inches, something along those lines. But those are things that are very helpful for people if they're worried about that from a waist perspective. All right. So we've talked a little bit about body comp. We've talked about the physical activity guidelines. Certainly in terms of calories in, calories out, that stuff makes a difference. But I think I'd like to switch over to sleep.
Yeah.
Personally, this is my own opinion. I think if people slept the recommended dosage per night, which is roughly 7 to 9 hours, we would be rid of a lot of issues as a whole. Health issues, recovery issues, muscle injuries as a whole. And you can expound on that, but that's of my own personal opinion.
Oh, yeah. And not only just getting in bed and making sure you're getting that time, but also making sure that you're not, drinking coffee right up until you go to bed, right? Because we want good quality sleep. You want to be hydrated throughout the day, right? Drinking plenty of water. And you kind of want to wind down at night and not, you don't want to be watching an action movie every night before you go to bed and getting that heart rate ramping and then trying to lay down and go to sleep. It's not going to happen, right? But I think Matthew Walker says this in his book about sleep, Why We Sleep, that, you'll meet people that say, I only need 5 hours of sleep. I only need this much sleep. And I used to be a terrible sleeper. And I used to say things like that, right? Where I was like, yeah, I can get by.
Only like 4 hours of sleep. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I know I was getting by. I was not, you realize that you're not functioning the same that you could.
Yeah. Well, and mind you too, that you don't make up sleep you lose. Like when people talk about, I got to make up the time I've slept, you don't make up what you've lost. So if you think about the accumulation of years that you're sleeping every night, if in a week you only get 4 nights, you get 4 hours. In 3 nights, you get, 6 hours. It ends up being, you don't make up those, 3-4 hours you missed per night later on. that recovery is gone. It's lost. You don't
Right.
make that up moving forward. So it's a big deal. And you mentioned a good comment about coffee. Alcohol is very similar. Now, there is a very small subset of the population who caffeine does very little to them. There's an enzyme in your liver, as far as I know, that can break down coffee, and it just doesn't affect people. But for the most part, the general recommendation is about 4 to 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours pre-bedtime, no coffee and no alcohol. Obviously, for a lot of people, that's not the case. On the weekend, they'll have a cocktail, they'll have a few cocktails, what have you. But your sleep does get affected by that. You will not sleep as well when you have done that. You might sleep because, especially if people are drinking to the point of being drunk, yeah, you're going to be knocked out. But that is not quality sleep. Your resting heart rate, your heart rate variability, all of that changes. And so avoiding those 4 to 6 hours before bedtime is a very, very helpful thing. And something that I tell people all the time, you need a consistent bedtime and wake up time, or a sleep and wake time. Those should be as consistent as you can keep them across the week. Because you think of our circadian rhythms, and actually in that book, Matthew Wolfe talks about a lot of those things. Matthew Wolfe, not Matthew Wolfe.
Matt Walker.
Matt Walker.
You were talking about Wolfie
earlier. Talking about Wolfie earlier. Yeah.
He's trying to make the cut. Give him a break. He's working hard.
Yeah. But Matt Walker in that book talks about that.
It is. And if any of our listeners have a Whoop, like that's one of the stats they're looking at every week, is giving you suggestions like, your bedtimes were a little inconsistent this week. Even if that means like during the week, you might go to bed at 11. Right. But then on the weekends, you're staying up until 1. I mean, that's still not good consistency because it's a large window there, Yeah. And like you said, you're not, even if you're going to bed at 1 and sleeping till noon on a Saturday, you're not making up for the week. You're starting Saturday on a good note, probably, right? Good and recovered for Saturday, but you still got all that debt built up from the previous week.
Absolutely. That's 100% the truth. And just your ability to recover is going to also allow you to play better golf.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to decrease your injury risk. It's going to improve your ability to work out, and it's going to improve your focus, decrease some stress. All of that makes a difference. So when it comes to good sleep, consistent wake time and go to bed time, make sure that you're not getting a bunch of alcohol or caffeine 4 to 6-ish hours before you go to bed. Black. Your room needs to be black. Now, I've had some patients in the past, especially from people, if they're listening to, are older, who they have to get up in the middle of the night because they have to go to the bathroom. I get that. One of the things I recommend is lights that are censored. So when you wake up and put your feet down, the light turns on. But when you're sleeping, it should be black. The room should be cool. The room should be black. Sometimes one of the things that's recommended is like some kind of ambient noise, fan, white noise. Like we listen to rain sounds when we go to bed at night, which is like the most terrific thing in the world.
That's the best.
It's absolutely the best. And everyone does this. I yell at my godparents about this. Don't watch TV in bed. Don't work in the bed. Don't use your computer in the bed. Don't bring your phone into your bedroom. Leave it all outside. Like none of those things are in your bed. Your bedroom is to sleep in and to do the nasty, if that's what you're going to do in your bed. But that's it. That's it.
Nothing
else.
So
that needs to be, a sacred event for that. I think that covers sleep pretty much. The basic recommendations on sleep. No?
That's it. Get enough. Set yourself up for success there. Don't do anything to sabotage yourself, and make sure that it's a priority and has a routine around it. You have a kind of a wind down routine. You're turning the TV off. You're getting dark. You're getting cool.
Yep.
Turning off the lights inside too.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that people listening to this might be like, well, this is just generic stuff. Like, yeah, of course we need to sleep more, and of course we need to eat better, and of course we need to, be physically active. It doesn't need to be repeated again, but it will. 1 in 5 people are getting enough exercise during the week. 1 in 2 Americans are going to be likely obese by 2030. Right? The average person is not getting 7 hours of sleep a night.
No, I'd say that's got to be around that 20% number, I'd imagine. Right? I don't know, but
I don't have it in front of me. I'd have to look it up. We need like one of those people that Joe Rogan has that can like look all this stuff up when we're sitting here. Like, hey, yo, Billy, like look this stuff up for us. We need to find that guy. But it's the truth. All of those numbers are not high. So you might think that this stuff is simple. And it is. Most of these guys, like, we're not rocket scientists here. We're not breaking some amazing research gap. Like, this is the basic stuff. But basic stuff can be hard. I just made a post yesterday about the world needs less Theraguns and massages and foam rollers and stupid exercises. They need more strength training, good recovery, good stress management, and better diets. Just do those things. You're going to have a better life, a better quality life, a stronger life, and less medical issues as a whole. Does it guarantee it? No. I've seen plenty of people that are healthy as horses and they get cancer, or plenty of people that are super healthy and they get, I don't know, hit by a car or something, right? Terrible things happen. But why increase your chances immensely? Again, 600 something thousand people are dying of heart disease a year. That's a lot of people dying from an earned disease, so to speak. Then genetics play a role, and there's a whole lot to that. So we've talked physical activity, sleep, body comp, anything else in the world of, helping yourself out that we should discuss?
No, I think just you've said it a couple of times, but we emphasize, like, obviously genetics play a role in this, right? But you can't change that, right? The things that you can change are getting enough physical activity, getting enough sleep, just being mindful of what you eat, and it's simple, but that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I think that really covers a lot of them. We won't get into a lot of like the, what you should do in terms of going to get medical care, like make sure you get these things checked. But I think that one thing people should understand, or that we should talk about too, is from like the stress side of things. One of the biggest things is having meaningful relationships and connections in your life. From a stress perspective, from a depression perspective, from an anxiety perspective, is having meaningful relationships and having a good, and this podcast will start getting a little bit more into some of this stuff, but having a internal locus of control about your health. And so what I mean by that is you feeling like you have control over your health and its outcomes. Because a lot of times we become dependent on the healthcare system. Or just like we almost become dependent on a swing coach. I need my swing coach or I'll never be able to play good golf. As opposed to my swing coach taught me something. I am the one applying it. I am the one going out and doing it. And in the healthcare world, and Tim, you can elaborate on this, we see so many people that are reliant on their doctors. They're reliant on their ortho. They're reliant on their physical therapist. I need that massage. I need this. Otherwise, I can't function. And as a whole, your outcomes are going to be worse. You need to have an internal amount of agency that you have control over your health and its outcomes, because that gives you power, that gives you responsibility. And then you feel like you're in the driver's seat. You're not getting dragged behind the car.
That's it. Yeah, you put the work in now, you carry the bucket of water now, and you can drink for the rest of the weekend, or whatever other metaphor you want to use there. So
I agree.
And it helps that sense of community is huge, right? When you look at blue zones and places where people, those are for people that don't know, those are those areas of the world that people regularly live to 100 and older.
Yeah.
And yet, sure, they have different, like, they're in all different areas of the world. Yeah. They have different diets. But one key factor that's in all of those places is that they have a great sense of community. And they care for each other and have that communal support. So, I mean, you can build your exercise and your activity into your community, right? If you have a group of guys that you play golf with, make the choice to start walking. Then everyone's doing it together, and you're not the weird guy that's just out there, trying to improve his health. Or, if you live at home and you've got a couple of kids, like, make it a regular thing. You go for a 20-minute walk after dinner. You can build these things in so that you have control over when you do them, who you do them with, and then it makes you accountable to yourself and to other people.
That's the beauty of golf.
Mm-hmm.
Like, golf is really a communal sport. Like, you're not usually playing alone. Sure, some people do. But you're playing with your buddies, you're playing with your friends, you're playing with family members, you're playing with, I know at the club I'm at right now, you've got families that have been playing now for generations. Like, they've played together, their parents have played together, now their kids are playing together. They're playing with cousins. There's just this huge feeling of community. It's funny, I've got a guy patient of mine, and he always talks about how he sent his guys out this morning because he's in control of their tee times and stuff. But he thinks of them as like, these are my guys. This is my group. These are my people, right? Like we're in this together. And I think that's such a beautiful part of golf. And one of the reasons that I'm attracted to golf is that there is a community. There's a brotherhood of people and a sisterhood of people that want to be together. They want to get better together. They want to talk about their struggles together and how much they can't stand bunkers, or how much the, tee box, or how much that stupid water on the sixth hole bothers them. And, there's this sense of community, which is really brilliant. And that will only help your health.
Absolutely.
It's only going to impact it. That Blue Zone comment is fantastic, because that's really the truth. Is having people in community with one another only allows them to live longer and better lives.
Absolutely.
That's the truth of that.
That's it.
So I really think that covers a lot of things. In terms of what best recommendations, make sure you hit those physical activity guidelines. 2 days a week of resistance training, at least 150 minutes of moderate aerobic activity, or 75 to 150 minutes of vigorous aerobic activity. That's number one. Again, 1 in 5 people are doing that. Don't be that person. Number 2, ensuring that we're maintaining a good body comp. And that's a complicated topic. If you guys are struggling with that, shoot either one of us a DM, and we can discuss that a little bit more, because nutrition is a complicated thing. Yes, you need to eat less than you are putting out into the ether every day, but there's a lot more complicated to that. So if you're dealing with that, let us know. Number 3, we need to focus a lot on sleep. It's huge. Sleep is destroyed. It's abused. Get 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. Make sure the room is dark and cold. Avoid coffee and liquor, or caffeine and liquor, 4 to 6 hours before you go to bed. Maybe listen to some white noise. Make sure that your bedroom is your sanctuary. You do nothing in there but the happy stuff and sleep. End of story. And then develop good relationships. In this golf world, it's awesome. You can connect with people. I mean, Tim and I are 1,300 miles away, but we're able to connect every day on fun stuff. And it gets us excited. Like, I'm excited to hop on this podcast with him because we get to talk shop. It's a fun thing. Like, I feel energized when I'm done with it. That's a very simple thing, but that's what we're talking about. Is you can talk about golf. You can talk about the tournaments these weekends. We can talk about the FedEx Cup that's coming up here, and the Ryder Cup, and all these exciting things. And it does provide that community that we're looking for. Getting those things in is huge. And I think that's going to be of great benefit for all of you that are hearing this. Is it simple? By words, yes. In practice, clearly people are struggling with it.
Yeah, and it's hard. Even if you're, there are days I wake up and I don't want to I know I have a workout scheduled and I don't want to do it, but I've never felt worse after a workout. No matter how bad I felt before, yep. Always come out of it feeling better, feeling like you've accomplished something, and there's just nothing better. Yeah. So, I mean, for all that we've talked about, the big hitters that this physical activity can do, it can help lower your resting heart rate, can help lower your blood pressure, helps improve blood flow to your extremities and everywhere in your body. It improves your breathing, can decrease cholesterol, decrease your body fat, decrease your risk of blood clots. You have a lower incidence of heart disease, diabetes, osteoporosis. We talked about mood, anxiety, depression, helps cognitive function, and decreases your risk of falls. So, I mean, that's a laundry list of benefits that doesn't take a whole heck of a lot.
No, my dog's currently trying to throw up.
Oh boy,
buddy.
Sorry, Murph.
I'm too jacked up since we got in here. Tim's going on a great rant, and you're just out here trying to throw up on me.
Not only you get excited for these, Murphy also gets excited for these.
He gets so jacked up. When I come home, this dog is ballistic, guy. Let it out, pal. What's going on with you? Anyways, yes. So all of that is very true. Makes a huge difference. I think that's probably enough. I think that's good info for people. I think that helps people out a lot. As always, if you're struggling with that, you need help with that, shoot us a DM. Follow us on social, jackson.anchorforge and Rivotto.golf. Buddy.
Uh-oh, that didn't sound good.
He's just throwing it up and eating it. What's going on with you? It's a good thing that mom's a veterinarian. She can.
Oh, there you go.
Solve all these things. Golly, pal. Anyways, follow. This is the craziest ending to a podcast we've had so far. Don't lick me.
It's his gross mouth.
Oh, gross mouth. It's all right. I love him. He's a good pup. Follow us on social. If you have questions, shoot us a DM. If you have comments, if you hate what we just said, if you think we're idiots, post a comment. That's fine. Call us idiots. It'll be a fun conversation. But Golf Strong Project, follow us if you're listening to this, or follow us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you like to use all of those jazz things. Subscribe, click the bell for notifications, all that nonsense. And I've completely forgot, most importantly, a shout out to our unofficial sponsor right up there, Black Rifle Coffee Company. You guys are the best. I love your coffee. I saw that you were in the news last week. And you're just awesome people. Just freaking love you. Keep making good. Did you get your coffee yet?
Yeah, I actually got some of that Liberty. It was on sale this week too, so I got a nice little reduced rate. It was beautiful.
Whatever. Whatever.
Everyone likes saving money. Come on, especially for a great product like that.
I agree. But again, 4 to 6 hours before bedtime, you can't have any.
Yeah, shut it down.
It's the only rule. That's the only rule. All right, folks. Well, if you guys have any questions, shoot us a message. Let us know what's up. Otherwise, we are out of here.
That's it. Peace.
Bye, y'all.